What's up, nerds?
Oh, wait. I thought I was doing the intro.
My bad. You're right. I said I was going to do the outro.
Hold on. Actually, let's just have one. Wait, keep rolling.
No.
Can we include this? Josh and I are just going to do the episode. We're going to say it at the same time.
At the same time.
Okay. All right, let's try again. Ready?
Yeah. What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of The Bandwagon Fan. This is the show where we talk about all things pop culture and what we're into now. I'm Alex.
I'm AJ.
And I'm Josh.
This week, we're here to talk about HBO's latest and greatest, The Last of Us.
Dun, dun, dun.
Gosh, this has been a long time coming. I feel like I've been hearing about The Last of Us being turned into some type of project for years. I actually forgot, for people who don't know, that this was initially a video game. I forgot the video game came out all the way in 2013 now. Like, I'm forgetting that that's not new.
It doesn't seem that long ago, but it's like, yo, that was 10 years ago.
The game came out when we were in college, and that's a depressing.
Yeah, that was
a depressing thing to think about. Yeah,
it's weird. That's why I'm like, to me, I'm like, hey, the TV show came out pretty recently, you know? Yeah, I was like, they really churned this thing out, and then I was like, wait, like, we'll get into this more later, but I was like, wait, wasn't this supposed to be like a movie or something? And then I was like,
just my old friend.
And then I'm like, didn't they already remaster this game like 15 times? You know?
Now, thank you for listening to our podcast, Aging Ungracefully, with AJ, Alex, and Josh. That's what that feels like right now.
I'm starting a spin-off podcast called Aging Gracefully. It's a rivalry.
Okay.
You bastard.
Solo
podcast? Come on, bro. Come on, man.
You're too hard to know. Sorry.
You know what else is depressing, though?
What's depressing?
The Last of Us game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And The Last of Us. Actually, just The Last of Us in general is kind of
engaging. Yeah, if you don't know, if you're not a gamer, came out in 2013. It's a third person, which means you see yourself, you see the character. Post-apocalyptic survival action adventure game, and it won tons and tons of awards. And as of 2019, sold estimated 20 million copies. So it's a very popular game because it's a good game. Well, and that's where we are now. It was good enough. The story was good enough, in my opinion, to get optioned.
And also, I think we also have to remember too that this kind of game is designed to watch. You know, it's very easy for someone to sit behind you and watch it and still be as engaged, because it's kind of how Insomniac Studios, that's how they make their games, right?
I'm like the perfect example, actually, because I played the video game for the first time in 2020. Which was a terrible time to play it during a COVID lockdown. But that's Seriously. When I decided to buy and play it. But I remember, Josh and I went to the same college, and I remember watching him play the game years and years ago. But I weirdly never felt like I had to play it. It was just kind of I don't know if relaxing is the right word for a game like this, but it was kind of relaxing watching Josh mess up a lot.
Correction, by the way, I said Insomniac, but it was actually Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog.
I always confused the two.
Oh, Insomniac is oh my gosh,
is
no, not Crackdown.
That's why.
What is the big game?
Ratchet and Clank. Is it Ratchet and Clank? Do they make Ratchet and Clank? I'm pretty sure it's Ratchet and Clank.
Let's just go with Ratchet and Clank.
It's Sony's other flagship studio.
But we're here to talk about The Last of Us.
Yeah,
which is also Sony. But anyways. The road here was not an easy one, though, to get to the show. Did you guys know Sam Raimi was going to produce a movie for The Last of Us?
Really?
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you don't have to worry about it now.
We don't have to worry about it, but I don't know how I feel about it. Because it would be really good or really weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they were going to do an animated thing, too, and that got canceled. But, they kept with it, and HBO picked it up. What's really cool is the creative team behind it, the two main guys, is Neil Druckmann, who actually wrote and created the game.
Yeah.
So
or the creative director.
If you've played the game, and you enjoyed it, it's in good hands, because he literally is the brain behind the game. And then the other person who is kind of heading this up is Craig Mazin, who wrote, created and was a producer, executive producer of Chernobyl, which I
So
haven't
good.
seen,
Such a good
but I heard
Chernobyl
show.
is
so many
so
good
good,
things.
so good,
Right,
so
Wait,
right.
can
so
I
so so
can
good.
I say something about Chernobyl though? I remember when that was coming out. At the time, I was working a job where like I was always, I wasn't remote, so I was way back in the day when you worked in a building with people. But
What?
that show was out, and I remember I was talking about one of the scenes, and this girl was like, "Don't." She's like, "Wait, don't spoil it for me." And I'm like, "You realize this happened? This is just based
Oh
on true
god,
events." She didn't know that it actually was a real thing.
no way!
She's
Spoiler
like,
alert!
she's like, are they gonna get a season 2 or like?
Oh no!
I'm
Ah,
No,
like,
but in, in all
this is
seriousness,
season
like,
two.
yeah, right.
This
No, no
show.
joke. It really does feel like season 2. Um, I think what makes me so frustrated watching this is, I mean, look, I'll just spoil it a little bit. It's good. It's pretty good. And what makes it really frustrating is like it's good because you have the people who made the game part of the writing room. Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem
Crazy.
like a very difficult concept, Halo, but apparently making a video game for people who played the game is a really good marketing strategy. Wild concept, I know, but I think more people should really adopt that because I'm so sick and tired of adaptations. And the director's like, I've never watched that. I never played it.
I never read the book.
Never
What?
read the book. Yeah, like, oh, okay,
And
cool.
Neil Druckmann's like, I live and breathe content. I am like, this is my thing. This
Yeah,
man has too
well,
many talents.
he does. He really does. But I just think it shows that having somebody in the room who knows what they're writing for really changes the way you model your show. And we'll get into it. But I mean, this is like a tour de force of how to make a video game show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and like I hope this kind of adds credibility to like the video game industry as a storytelling environment, and that Hollywood's like, hey, like we can utilize some of that, and like it's not like it's like frame for frame copy of the game going into the show. They make notable changes, and some are better, some not as much. I think the intro of the show it is different from the game. I thought it was a great intro. Curious what you guys thought of it.
Well, you
I
talking about the actual like the very first scene?
The
Is that what
very
you're
first
referencing?
scene, the
with the
1968
scientist.
scene.
Yeah, I actually I really loved that because like the game is still pretty fresh in my mind. So I was like, at first I was like, wait, maybe I just don't remember this, and then I was like, no, this definitely wasn't in. But like I thought it was like a really unique way to kind of discuss like what this show is probably going to entail. And I was like, man, if they ever decide to remaster this game for like the fourth time, they should
They
just
already did.
include this in it.
They already
Fifth
remastered
time,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So for the sixth time, remind me later to bring up a point that I thought was very clever that they used in this scene, and they
Okay.
talk about like kind of between this and the
Mhm.
video game, they did something kind of cool that I'm like, see, you can only really do this in a TV show. You can't quite do this in a game format. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
and
cool.
like the creative direction of the scene is very intentional and powerful. Like when you think about it, you have these two scientists arguing about the next global pandemic, and one's talking about like a virus, cough cough, COVID, and one's talking about a fungi, like fungal, like pandemic, and where that hits home again is the scientist is like, hey, like they're talking about like this couldn't happen because a fungi cannot survive in a human host. Like our body's too warm. It's like, hey, but if the climate were to get warmer, then they could adapt and then they could
Yeah.
live in a human host. It's like, oh, COVID and climate change all in the, within the span of like 2 minutes. So it's like they're very much like they're pushing the buttons of the audience where like it's like you are living through this right now. This could happen to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No,
Well, I think
it's a really good. Oh, go ahead.
I would say what I thought was cool with this, and I read a little bit from the um, creator. Neil was one of the reasons they kind of threw this in is So when the game came out, this was 2013. Like the world hadn't really been exposed to. I mean, like there were viruses and stuff, but like there wasn't anything like I feel like as global as COVID. And I think now that this show coming out in 2023, like having this intro, it's like, oh, people are a little more familiar with like the reality of this kind of to the side of this. And I thought that really hit heavy. And I just had read that was like kind of one of the reasons they had um, thrown this in was, they knew that their audience, us, was a little more aware and smart about these things because we've actually been through something to an extent that's similar.
Very similar. Yeah.
And like another thing is, I think for millennials especially, and I guess Gen X too, there's a lot of like timeliness to the first part of this first episode where you jump to 2003 and like you see like the Operation Desert Storm sticker, you see a picture of George W. Bush, or it's like, oh yeah, I remember this. I was a kid through this stuff, and that's where we meet our two main characters in this episode. We have Sarah and Joel, who are father and daughter, and they're just going about their days. Sarah, it's going to be Joel's birthday, so she's going to go get his watch fixed. He's going to go off to work. He's a construction guy, so they're just doing their things. And but like if you like pay attention very carefully to like the newspapers in the background, or like listen to like the TV in the background, like you start to see like there's something going on in the world. Like there's like a building tension. I don't know if you guys picked up on any of that.
Well, yeah, it's the principle
Yeah.
of show not tell. You know what I mean? They did a really good job of making you know that there's some type of danger, but the whole episode really they never really point to what that is, and I think partially it's because they know a good percentage of the people watching the show know what it is, but for those who don't, I think it also lets you know that like something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something's really wrong.
this show, first of all, they didn't do like the someone opens the newspaper and it like shows like the highlight of the day. But like this truly is a show. Like if you've never even heard of The Last of Us until last Sunday when the episode dropped, um, you could follow along with this. Like it's
Yeah,
I think they did a really, really good job of um not really like babying you, but just having good storytelling. Just
yeah,
all it is.
yeah.
And I felt like they incorporated, I guess, kind of like horror or like thriller type of elements where like there's like that building tension throughout something that you're watching, and like you don't know what it is, but you know like there's something bad coming, and
You
that
know what? It reminds me a lot of if you guys ever watch any of Ari Aster's movies. He directed Hereditary and Midsummer.
oh yes
I've
yes
But
seen
but
Midsummer,
but it's
unfortunately.
very reminiscent of like the way he I know, but it's very reminiscent of the way he builds drama and tension. You know what I mean? Where
Mhm.
it's like this feeling of like something's wrong, but you can't describe it. It's not visually shown to you, but everything else around the characters is like something's up, like something's weird, something weird's going on. You know what I mean?
yeah. And the peak of that would be when Sarah, she's gone back home and she stops by her neighbor's house, and like it's really funny like when Joel kind of like forces her earlier on to be like, yeah,
Yeah,
she's gonna come over later. It's like
yeah.
these like older elderly people.
Old people.
I
Yeah,
like that it establishes like they kind of have annoying neighbors that are friendly, but like this isn't the first time they've had to go through this. But I like that it
yeah.
also you didn't. It's just like this show, at least so far, I feel like does a really good job of like just showing you like, oh yeah, these characters already exist and they already have a story, but you don't necessarily need like all of the backstory of the old neighbors for you to understand like um that they already have a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, but like that peak tension, like when Sarah's over there, and they're like the grandma, whoever, like there's something wrong with her.
Mm.
But you're like, you don't know what it is. But then
Yeah.
when like the dog's freaking out, you're like, this is weird.
I mean,
Okay.
even from a cinematography perspective, I thought that scene where Sarah's in the house and the up until this point, the old lady, I don't know, mother, grandmother, whatever she is, she hasn't said anything. She's kind of docile. She's I think they even mentioned that she had like dementia or something like that.
It seemed like it, yeah.
Something like that. So like she's spaced out, and then she starts like tweaking. Like she's just like I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah, but what's even scarier is that it's happening literally out of focus. Like it's literally happening out of
Yeah.
focus, and so like you, the audience, are like, "What is that?" But you can't see it, and then it's I don't know. I thought that was
Can
kind
I
of clever, pretty
can I
cool.
give a I gotta give an honest I gotta be honest here. So as of playing the game and knowing what happens in the game, just seeing that little scene, I uh I actually paused for a moment and I was like, I have to decide right here whether or not I'm actually gonna watch the show. Because it's good, but I was like, am I ready to just like go down a horror lane, you know?
That's funny.
But I'm like, I made it through the episode. I'm committed now. I just got to
It's like
do this.
it's like the Vietnam
Crazy.
meme. Alex is just envisioning all the stuff he went through playing the game before.
Yeah,
Do I want to
I
do this
just
again?
I actually took like a 6 month break from playing the game too.
Dang, dude.
Yeah,
Uh,
and but then like there's like the tension reduction right after that.
uh-huh.
So like the show does a great job of that, where it's like up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Because then you see Joel and Sarah together again, spending some time. Joel,
It's
he's
Joe's
working
birthday.
hard. Joel's what?
It's Joe's birthday.
It's his birthday. She got his watch fixed. There's some lines directly from the game that it shows again. They're not being like, oh, this is Joel and Sarah. He loves his daughter. Like you see the dynamic, his dumb dad jokes, and there's a playfulness, and like you can tell they love each other, and like you believe it.
One of the things I loved about their relationship was that they never tell you the mother is not there.
Yeah,
And yet
yes,
it's their dynamic is so palpable with the way she treats her father with both the like a respect, but like of almost like I'm trying to take care of you the same way you take care of me.
mm-hmm.
Never directly been like, hey, I appreciate you taking care. None of that, but that's what good writing is, y'all. Like it's
and
just
and with that, they never like, oh, I wish mom were here to see this. Oh, I miss your
yeah,
mother.
yeah, exactly.
Like they didn't like like you have eyes, you have a brain, you can figure out what's happening, and you're right.
Yeah,
It's like so much better.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
better yet, opens newspaper. This would have been the perfect opportunity again, and it just says mother Happy Mother's Day, except to Joel and Sarah.
For real. Sometimes it
No,
feels like that.
a bad TV show would have been like, this is of course, the 1 year anniversary when your mom got hit by a semi truck trying to pick up a puppy from the road. Oddly
Just like
enough,
out of the blue.
it was a stuff animal. I don't know why she ran into the middle of the street. It was just a really weird situation. But yeah, no, it's I think it's good writing, and I think that's what makes the events that happen throughout this first half of this long episode,
Yeah.
feel more palpable. You know what I mean?
Right. And again, like there were little changes because they're watching a movie together. It's like this cheesy kung fu movie Joel likes that she borrowed from the neighbors. Sarah falls asleep and then she wakes up and Joel's gonna go get Tommy, his brother, who we met earlier, out of jail, I guess, and bail him out because he got into a bar fight. Is that in the game?
I don't remember. I
Because
really don't. It's been
I
so
remember
long.
he's like on the phone arguing with Tommy about something. I
Mm.
don't remember what it was. I didn't want to go
Well,
back to like check.
well, what was really
I
cool
can't
was that
remember.
essentially Tommy's like, yeah, some dude just like freaked out and started swinging at the bar. And again, show not tell, right? It's like this thing. It's
Little
like
breadcrumbs.
yeah, little breadcrumbs that like, hey, something's wrong because if you don't know what's going on, you're just like, all right, Tommy just got into a fight. But if you know what's going on, you're like, oh, that's like the first signs that like something's wrong with like the people. You know what I mean?
Well, also clearly Tommy's gotten in trouble even before this.
Before,
It's like
yes,
Joel
very
isn't like
clearly.
surprised at all.
Yeah, neither
More
is Sarah.
annoyed.
Yeah, and again, like it's the show don't tell. Like we're figuring all this stuff out. Like there's all these little pieces here and there. They're not spoon feeding it to us. Like we figured it out.
Yeah,
And then like the next part, Sarah falls asleep. Joel goes to save his brother from jail. Sarah wakes up and like some like things are going down. There's like helicopters and like flashing lights and all this craziness.
it's like the first week of COVID out there.
It really, yeah.
Literally.
No, you're
Literally.
right. You're right. There's all this craziness, but at the same time, she was outside. It's like dead quiet on her street.
Right,
Like
right.
nobody's outside.
Right.
But you're right. Like they're kind of tapping into those feelings for us who have gone through these things.
Yeah.
And then the creepiness tension goes way up. Alex, I bet you love this next part.
I don't know. The whole show had creepy intentions. If that's if that's helpful.
Creepy intentions.
Well, so she Sarah
think-
goes over to her neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And like,
I think what I think it's just it's the pacing of this, you know, because it's like you've already been to this house before, and you know, not only a few scenes ago, but it's just like it's the way like the dog from over there is like desperately like clinging to like come up to Sarah, and she's kind of like chill out, it's just like loud noises, but like the second she tries to get to the door, like the dog literally like runs off of the leash, and that, like, I don't know how they did this, but you could just like legit see the fear in the dog's face, and it was just like, well,
Well,
I'm out. If you're going in there,
it's
I'm
very
out.
reminiscent as a dog owner. When a dog doesn't want to do something and they dig their heels, you just know that like there's not much you can do to
Mm-hmm.
get them to go. And on top of that, we already kind of get a hunch that something's wrong with the grandmother. And so when Sarah goes inside, you know, she's found the house is in disarray. Everything is just, the house looks disheveled, and the door's open, which is unusual.
Because
And we
it's like
see
2
that,
a.m. or something, right? It's
yeah,
really
yeah, it's
late.
yeah,
like the middle of the night. It's in the middle of the night, yeah. And we see the neighbor is getting feasted on by the grandmother, which is just like, whoa, dude, like this is wild. And she's got these like tentacles coming out of her mouth. I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, oh
It's like
god.
it's ravenous.
Yeah,
well, and then so the wife's the one that's being eaten, and then
yes,
the husband, he's like still alive. He's like, help me. And Sarah's like, this is how you know she's smart. She's like, nope, she's
yeah.
out.
Well, like she's
Yeah.
at a point she can't like. There's no help in that guy.
There's nothing she could do, and she's smart enough to
Yeah,
realize like, hey man, it's you or me, and you're already halfway there, so I'm out. And so she runs outside, and the in a frightening scene, the grandmother chases her. Remember, this woman was docile in a wheelchair, and now she's just full on sprinting
Now she'd be
toward
running.
Sarah. Yeah, she's running. She's a runner. She's a track star. And she gets outside, and you know, Sarah's like, I mean, she's scared. I mean, I would be scared. You know what I mean? She doesn't know what to do. Just she knows these people. And then Tommy and Joel come. You know, they come out of nowhere, and Joel pops. Joel gives her that 2-piece. All right, he puts her down, and Sarah's just like literally stunned. She's like, "You killed her."
When
And
I
he's
saw
like, "Look,
the crowbar shot, I was like, yes, like
yeah,
here's
yeah,
that crowbar I missed and also
yeah.
despise at the same time.
it's funny, yeah,
It's also a character moment though,
it
because
Yeah.
it's
is,
like, because like he, like, you know, when it hits the fan, like Joel's like, I got this. I will
yeah."
do this.
Well, that's an interesting way. I looked at it as like Joel is very much a survivalist. Like he's like, whatever I have to do to survive. I thought that was reflected, and again, show not tell, y'all. This is a talent that not a lot of people have. They live in a cul-de-sac, right? And when you live in a cul-de-sac, you kind of are forced to like get to know your neighbors in a more intimate way, right? That's what they've been showing up until this point. And so when it's flight time in that fight or flight session, Joel, there's neighbors coming outside. Joel's like, F them. We're out. Like, don't worry about them. He's basically telling Tommy, like, run her over. Like, we don't care anymore. Like,
But
go. You know what I
he does
mean?
give advice to one of the neighbors. He's like get back inside and lock your doors.
Right.
And
Right.
unfortunately, that does not happen.
She doesn't
Yeah. She
listen.
doesn't listen. So he's very much like I'm survivalist
Just
mode.
go.
Yeah, just
He's
go.
not-
Survivalist. Yeah.
He's not like
And
a
like,
jerk. He's just
No.
he's
Right.
very practical.
No.
He's doing what he knows
He's-
he needs
he's
to
practical.
he's
do.
protecting his daughter.
Yeah.
Like I get, like, I don't have kids, but like if I was in that position, I'd be like, she lives. Like if I can help you guys, cool. If not,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
But- and again,
Alex hit on the head. Yeah.
the show don't tell. Like you don't see the neighbor
Mhm.
getting ripped up. You
Right.
like you
You
like
just
they
you
don't
can just
zoom in.
barely you
Like
could
in the
barely make it
background,
out.
slowly
Yeah.
fading away. You're like, oh, she's getting eaten.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically from this point on, we are watching them try, it's again,
It's chaos.
it's chaos. They're trying to get out of the country, but everyone's trying to get out of the country. The car crashes, Joel and Sarah get separated from Tommy, and
In a very video game way
a
too.
very video game way too. Literally, like
Mhm.
debris separating them. I'm like, just go under. Like,
I love
I started
that.
laughing. I was
I
like, you
did
could also
too.
like fucking run around the building.
You could
I
just
think
go
they played
around.
into it. He's like,
I-
I'll just meet you at the river. And I was like,
Well, I was watching this with Wendy, and I like, laughed. I was like, that is 100% a video game thing to have happened.
It
I like
is.
they
Yeah.
definitely did that on purpose.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was cheesy, but like it was yeah,
It was
it was fun.
great.
I
It
actually I
was
kind of
funny.
hope in future episodes there's occasionally a similar thing where it's like just jump over something. Like I can't jump. Like I just jump command doesn't work.
Or my favorite, it's like they're in the water, like like you can't swim. Like no, can't swim. Can't swim
Yeah,
in
like
this game.
The
dead.
the laughs are short lived though because people are just dying left and right.
Yeah.
And Joel and Sarah run through this restaurant, which it looked exactly like the game from what I remember.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
They're running, and then they run into a soldier.
Mm-hmm. Soldier is trying to stop him, gets an order that he has to take him out, and he starts shooting. And Joel tries to protect Sarah, but it's Tommy comes out of nowhere. He makes it to the river and shoots the soldier, but it's too late. Sarah's bleeding out, and just like the video game, we have to watch Sarah die.
Well, and what you
You
missed
know,
though, the unfortunate thing is the reason that the soldier gets commanded to take him out is because Sarah's ankle is injured here, and they were just trying to explain it's like no, like my ankle just hurts, like that's why I'm kind of like limping, and I think they were just like no, we're not risking it.
that's interesting.
I think that's how I saw it.
I took it as like he received an order that like no one's leaving the area. Like I took it as like the military is so desperate to get this fixed that they're just going to straight containment mode. So no one's leaving. You know what I mean? Like no one's leaving the perimeter. That's how I took it.
I could
Yeah.
see that, but I just saw it as because it's like, oh, she's injured, and like they don't even
Yeah.
want to risk.
That's a
Like
good
what,
point,
we don't know what because nobody knows at this point like what anything is. So
Yeah.
it's like oh, does she have an injured ankle or like is it something else that she gonna turn
Yeah.
into grandma crazy from down the street? Like
Yeah. No, that's a
And
good point.
they don't tell you. Like that's the beauty of the storytelling here. Like
Yeah.
you don't know.
We don't know.
She dies
Yeah.
senselessly.
Yeah.
She dies, and it's hard to watch. Like I was crying
me cry.
when he was crying. She was like, "Why are we watching this?" I was like,
Yeah.
Just
My wife was just
just
like,
go with
what
it.
is happening? I'm like, yeah, you don't even know. I told her, you
Yeah.
don't even know. You don't even know what's gonna happen.
yeah,
And
you're
the
like
times keep on rolling because we jumped to 2023. We're at Boston.
Yeah.
See this little boy. He's wandering to the quarantine zone. Everything's like hunkered down, fortress style.
Like
He goes inside.
Fallout 4 style.
Yeah, very much Fallout 4 style.
Mhm.
He goes inside. They're all like, "Hey, little buddy, like we'll take care of you." They scan him with this thing. It's red. They give him a little shot, and then I was like, I look at when I was like, "They're killing him. He's
Yep.
gonna die."
I told and sure enough
As soon as he got in there, because she's
Yeah.
like being like really nice to him.
we show
We're
the
gonna give
next
you
scene.
food.
We
Yeah,
show the
next
next scene. They're in the they're dumping bodies, and the little boy is one of the bodies. And
you don't see his face. You see the shoes.
You don't see it, so you see the
So don't
shoes.
tell.
It's true. And I mean, even with the gun, right? Even with the scanner, they don't show you, right? I mean, they don't tell you. They just
But
you're
you know,
seeing it. It's
the reactions. There's
good writing.
posters.
Good
So much
writing.
stuff everywhere.
So we see Joel's working in this post-apocalyptic Boston, and he's part of this crew that's burning bodies. And you see the little boy, and this lady's like, I can't do it. I can't burn a body of a little kid. And Joel's like, whatever. Grabs the kid and tosses him in the fire.
Joel's like, I don't
already.
give a shit.
He's like, I don't care. Money's money. Joel is jaded. Right?
But it's not even money. It's for ration stamps now.
Fair enough.
They finally show
Currency,
it like ration stamps are like I think it was like 2 rations. You get like some new shoelaces for your boots. It's like nothing nice.
It's bad.
Yeah. It's real bad.
And then
it was Santa Monica in 2020. If anyone's asking questions.
Oh God.
Dang.
and like again, like we explore this world like just by Joel walking through the town. Like you're picking up like what's happening. You're seeing public execution. Like everyone looks miserable. Phaedra is like a FEMA militarized that has taken over the city, martial law and all that. And you find out Joel's a smuggler, and he's somehow he got these pills, and he trades them with this Phaedra guard to get more ration cards. So that's a position he is in now. Like you said, AJ, like he is a survivor. Like he's doing what he has to do, but he's not alone. Like we find out, we meet another character named Tess, who is being held by someone named Robert. They've roughed her up a little bit, and for some reason or another, Robert is afraid afraid of Joel, and if Joel finds out like what him and his boys did to Tess, um, and like what they're after is I guess like a truck battery. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it's for. Again, like there's all these little pieces that we're having to put together. We don't know
Well,
what is what.
well, we can kind of insinuate that he's trying to leave,
Yeah,
right?
but we
Because
don't know
he's
why
trying to
yet.
because Joel's driver at this point is that he's been communicating with Tommy, and Tommy has gone radio silent. I guess he's part of their smuggler ring or whatever, and he can't find him now. And the only way they can communicate is with the existing remaining radio towers process. So because he doesn't know where Tommy is, he's like, I gotta go find him, and it makes sense, right? Tommy is his only attachment to really his daughter, right? When you think about it that way, like
Well,
Tommy's his only
it's really only his attachment to humanity, I would argue.
humanity. Yeah, yeah,
That's a
that's a
good
very,
point.
Because none
very
of
good
these
point.
other people, to my knowledge, were ever a part of his life before all of this.
I mean, they lived in Texas. They lived in Austin, Texas, right? So like
Yeah.
he's again another
Yeah.
show not tell thing. Like if y'all know, New England area, people from Texas don't like people coming from, in California or New York. It's not culturally, you can make an argument that it's like he's not of that area. I'm sure most of the people aren't either. But the point
Mhm.
basically is just like you're supposed to kind of put together. He's a foreigner. He's a foreigner
But I
in this
think
area, right?
I would argue that like once Tommy, if Tommy's out of the picture, I would say that like I don't think Joel has any reason left to even like
To
be
even
alive.
stay there, yeah, or to be alive, that too, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
or to like or just to like I don't know if he's already throwing kids in burning fire pits. It's just like
yeah.
you're already kind of you're pretty
You,
close to the edge, I think.
you bring up a good point I never thought about, because it's like we're supposed to infer that leaving the area is virtually suicidal. And so you bring up a good point, Alex. I didn't really think about that. Like that's his attachment to life, and he doesn't care if he lives trying to find his brother or not. You know what I mean? Like if he can't find his brother, there's no point. So that's a good point. I never put that together.
Yeah. Same. And then another character, another storyline we have going on is someone named Marlene, who is in charge of the Boston chapter of a group called the Fireflies. They're this revolutionary group, terrorist, depends who you ask. And for some reason, she's having her Fireflies attack all these different feed drug places. And they're all like, yo, what is up with this? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They also have this girl named Ellie, and apparently she's very important. And they're all gonna dip out of Boston with Ellie and head west. And for some reason, like we don't know why, but Ellie and Marlene have some sort of history. We also find out that Ellie is past infection.
Yeah.
Somehow
Yeah.
she got infected, but she did not.
she hasn't turned. Yeah. And I think she even mentioned that she got tested 3 weeks prior.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Was that 3 weeks? So whatever she has, even though it's flagging her as infected, that like she's cool.
immune.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
there's
immune.
a scene too before again, show not tell, where there's just a sign you see like in the quarantine zone, and it shows like how quickly it takes for someone to be infected, like for your feet to your head. And I think head was like it was like 5 to 15 minutes, and then like by the time it gets to your legs, it's like a couple hours. But either way, it's like everything like no one lasts longer than a day.
No one lasts longer
like.
than yeah, exactly. So to get the battery back, Joel and Tess their plan is just to hit up wherever Robert is and take the battery back. When they get there, Robert's dead, and make matters even worse, the battery was bad to begin with, so he was just trying to double cross whoever he was trying to sell it to. In the hallway of where they are, they bump into Marlene, and that's the first time we get an inkling that Joel knows Marlene to some degree, or at least she used his services at some point. And she makes a deal. She says, before Joel can really say anything, Ellie jumps out from a room, tries to stab Joel. Joel disarms her.
Well
it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I mean,
he just
she's
tosses
a
her
little
into
kid.
the wall.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little kid. He kind of just force throws her into the wall, and you can already see the tension between them. Ellie is a smart mouth. She's just a angsty teenager, and Joel's a grizzled old man. Okay, he's not with the shits. Okay, he's just like, I got stuff to do, I got work to do, and so Marlene asks Joel, "Hey, I'll make you a deal. I know you're trying to get out of the city. If you smuggle this kid to our base, we'll give you anything you need to get to wherever you're going." And him and Tess are like, honestly, we don't have a better plan, so let's just do it. Um, I mean, this scene was probably the most direct part of the whole episode. You know what I mean? This is the most like just straightforward. We know where this leads, so we know kind of the implications. But at this point, I think it's just you're just kind of just like, man, what is this girl like? Why is she so important? Like, who cares? Like, the world is literally crumbling apart. Why does this even matter? So, they take her outside the city walls, and earlier in the episode, when we find out Joel's a smuggler, he's making a deal with one of the guards, and we kind of find out that's how he's getting his inside track for a lot of the things that he's procuring. And they bump into that guard outside the walls, and so Ellie, being I forgot, that's the word I forgot to use earlier, short tempered. The short tempered child that she is, she stabs the guard, and so Joel and Tess are forced to kill him, and they got to run. You know what I mean?
She has a thing for stabbings.
She has a thing for stabbing.
I mean, okay, like I think we have to do that scene credit, because she's about to get scanned.
Yeah, I think she knew that either she was gonna get captured or someone was gonna get killed. I actually think she read the situation right in this situation.
I thought she did get scanned.
She did, and she knows like it's gonna be positive. Like, right, this is bad. Right. And so she acts. She responds.
Right. She responds.
And then Joel responds to that, where he's not okay. He's not gotten over the death of his daughter. He has a flashback of like when him and his daughter were confronted by the soldier.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening to him right now. He goes into like Papa Bear mode and he literally beats this guy to death.
Yeah.
And the inverse, when he saves Sarah from the old crazy neighbor, Sarah was appalled and scared. Ellie she's like fascinated. She's like, you did this for me.
And something else that I think we forgot to mention, that's probably pretty important to the rest of this story as far as they go, is that Ellie is is a part of a generation that knows nothing else but this world. She's lived in the new Boston city that has existed. She's never been outside those walls. So this is just like this is just the most interesting thing she's ever seen in her life. I mean, when you think about it, she's probably never watched like a movie or like
we don't actually know if she's watched TV or like if she's even really been able to listen to music or anything.
Yeah. So we don't. So this is just like a lot for her. Culture shock at its finest. So,
but I think she knew what she had to do. It's pretty clear in this world that basically any minor, I mean, there's scenes where like, someone could like steal something or just do something that's even just breaking the law in general, like results in being hung. So like she knows that they're going to die or at least get captured and then die later. So I think she had to do what she had to do.
It's a good point. And that's really where that episode kind of ends, right? It tails off. I don't know much about the song that was playing, but I figure it's going to play in some significance.
Yeah, the ending song is Depeche Mode's "Never Let Me Down Again," which came out in 1987.
Okay,
and the closing scene is these two skyscrapers falling over, which is directly from the game. Yeah. The song's significant because earlier, before they leave, Ellie cracks Joel's smuggling code. Where different decades mean a different thing, and a song from the 80s means there's trouble coming. Yeah. So again, show don't tell. Showrunners are saying, "Hey, something bad's going to happen."
I mean, so guys, like, what are your final thoughts? What did you think?
Final thoughts. I'm totally on the bandwagon. I'm going to keep watching this. Wendy and I said we agreed it's going to be our show, our newest show. The story's well adapted. So many show don't tell. Like things like a lot of background things to avoid exposition dialogue. The directing was great, the acting was great. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll get freaked out. Nico Parker, who was Sarah, she made us fall in love with a character for like 30 minutes and then dies. Like, that's
Mhm.
incredible acting. Pedro Pascal, I'm a huge fan of him. Always going to want to support Latino. Creates an endearing character where like there's something dark lurking under the surface. So I'm excited for this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are all pretty very valid reasons. For me, I'll start with the positives. I think the story is basically like almost spot on to the games. Like I've just seen so many like video game adaptations of other content, and it's just always done so poorly. And I think this was done very well. The acting was very, very believable. The what are we going to call them? Like the infected people. I think the
Mhm.
sounds that they make, like
I
the
know.
audio they captured perfectly to the
Is
game. Like
like
this, yeah, the sound
chef
is like
kiss.
terrifying, and I love that. Only couple minor things I had was like I could just tell like that this was supposed to be a movie initially. Like it felt too much like a TV show. Where like my biggest problem was like everything feels so narrow focused. So like it feels to me like you only see exactly like what the characters are doing and you don't really see much of the world outside of that. It could change in other episodes, and again that's like a really little thing, but I just like I can just tell when I'm watching something I'm like, this feels like a TV show compared to a film.
Yeah. To answer that, I think that's because they know it's a video game, and ultimately,
Mhm.
if you want to see more of the world, go get the game. I think maybe I'm just suggesting, like maybe
Could
that's what
be.
they're, I don't know, but maybe that was the philosophy. I'm sure Neil's like, it's in the game, don't put it in the show. I don't know. I'm not gonna waste time and explain. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great. Go watch it. I did just
Yeah,
want to throw
definitely
some
go
fun.
watch it.
Yeah, I wanted to throw some tidbits in there. First of all, Sarah, played by what was the actress's name? Nico Parker. She's a nepo baby. Her mother is Thandie Newton from Westworld. She plays,
What?
yeah, she plays. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Maeve. If you ever watch Westworld,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Maeve's daughter.
Uh,
So nepo baby, I support. Um,
she's got the talent to back it
She's
up.
got the chops, man. She's got the chops.
Yeah.
Also, something that was super duper clever throughout the show is that I believe in the video game, and I saw a TikTok about this. I can't remember the TikToker's name. I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't pull it up right now, so I apologize. But if you find it on TikTok, let us know. But he brought up the point that in the game they tell you that the infection is triggered by like a bad crop, and throughout the episode, we noticed that Sarah, Tommy, and Joel never ate bread. Right when in the morning when Sarah asked Joel if she can make him pancakes, he says no, and so they don't make
What?
pancakes. The
Uh,
neighbor, remember, offered him biscuit or scones or biscuits, whatever, and he
Yeah.
didn't eat it. And when he came back home, he forgot the cake.
uh,
He never brought the cake,
And then she didn't take the cookies
and it
either.
and she didn't take the cookies because they were oatmeal cookies, so she didn't want them, so she never ate the
dang.
cookie.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
they were raisin
remember they were
cookies.
raising
Yeah, because
cookies
she
and she
was
didn't
like,
want them.
raisin.
Yeah,
I
exactly. So
didn't
she
catch
so
that at
she
all.
exactly, right. Isn't that so smart? I was like, yo, that's pretty good. That's pretty
That's really
good.
good.
Oh,
Damn,
So
don't eat any bread out here. Bread's bad, y'all.
so
yo,
just some fun things already in one episode, just some fun things that
yeah,
I'm like, I think they put that in there because they know
yeah,
there's some of us that are probably paid 300 hours of the game. So they're
That's
just, I think
awesome.
that's just them trying to add some things for you to watch or catch or put together. So I thought that was cool.
yeah,
And again, if anyone knows the TikToker, I'll try to find it. I don't want to steal the credit, but he brought up a really good point. I thought that was cool. But
yeah,
yeah, guys, thanks for listening. If you liked the show, if you watched it, or if you're interested in it, let us know. You can find us on most social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at the Bandwagon Fan Podcast. You can find our podcasts anywhere you listen. Anchor, our
Spotify, y'all.
host, Spotify, yeah, our mothership, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
YouTube.
We think, yeah, oh yeah, YouTube, please. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Amazon Podcasts. I'm sure that'll be a thing one day. Wherever you find podcasts, we are there. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. The Bandwagon Fan Podcast is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Mogosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by your boy, AJ. Our social media is managed by Natalia Kokulia, and our theme song, Lush Waves, is provided to us by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.